The Baltimore County Police Chief, the female officer was responding to a possible burglary when witnesses say she was run over by a Jeep.
Wow, this marks the 26th officer killed on the job this year. 26 so far. Let's bring in Dana Loesch. She's a nationally syndicated radio host of The Dana Show and NRA spokesperson. Dana, what's your reaction?
Well, I'm just now seeing exactly what you're seeing. I mean, it's absolutely awful to see something like this. I mean, this is one of the reasons why we back the blue, and I hope that it reinforces, just what our men and women in uniform, what they go through every single time they put on the badge, every single time they put on the uniform. I mean, it's a dangerous job, and it's getting more dangerous for law enforcement. Indeed.
In fact, that's the sentiment of the police chief in the Baltimore area. Listen to this, Dana.
It's terrible. We're seeing something in this country today that we've never seen before. We're seeing police officers assaulted. The number of officers who have died in the line of duty is up this year. The officers who've died at the hands of gunshots is up. And so we're telling everybody, be on your toes, don't be complacent. Work with each other. This is a bad time in the United States for law enforcement and the attacks that are occurring.
And if you want to know how bad it's getting, at this time last year, 15 officers had lost their lives. Now it's up to 26. Last year, it capped out at 35. Sadly, it looks like we're going to get way past that before the summer starts. This continues. So you just wonder if this is an attitude in America today.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brian. I think there is something there to that. I know there's a general, lack of respect for each other and authority, and just making sure that we all live nicely and in harmony with everybody. But at the same time, with law enforcement, I think it's trendy to hate cops right now. I honestly do. I think it's trendy to hate cops. I think it's trendy to bash cops, and I think it's a lot of people believe that it's very easy for them to Sunday morning quarterback a cop's decisions through the keyboard, which I don't like to see, particularly when those people have no law enforcement training.
We all know what happened in Santa Fe in Texas, and Governor Abbott is going to host a roundtable discussion, 3 days of roundtable discussions to make schools safer in that state. He wants to speed up background checks, policies to keep guns away from those who pose an immediate danger. He wants more resources for school safety personnel, and he wants to address mental illness issues tied to gun violence. What are your thoughts, Dana?
Right. Ainsley, these are all issues that I have talked about for a very, very long time, since the now infamous town hall that took place when those suggestions were roundly booed. We've been talking about the School Shield program, which I hope that schools across the country realize that these resources are available to them. But if I can make one quick point, this is what I think everyone who has children in schools needs to realize right now. They need to realize this happened in Broward County. I talked to teachers in Broward County at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School. Right. They had a Secret Service member do a security risk assessment 2 months before. None of those things were put into place. You had a promise program that actually didn't report the criminality of students, and that prevented a record from being established for the murderer, and he could have been rendered a prohibited possessor. Parents need to make sure that these programs are not in their kids' schools. We need to make sure that we're funding security measures. How about we take the $500 million from Planned Parenthood and redirect that into making sure that our schools are secure, and that we have armed security, and that we have metal detectors. We are protecting our sporting events and concerts more.
Sure, Dana, as an NRA spokesperson, over the last couple of months, we've been hearing more and more, including the President of the United States, talking about we should be arming our teachers. And in fact, that's one of the things that Greg Abbott is going to be talking about, Governor Abbott, there in your state today.
Yes, and I think if teachers and parents determine each for their school district that this is something that they want to implement, and teachers volunteer, they're willing to train, they're willing to carry. Teachers are incredibly talented people, and I don't think they get the credit they deserve. They can teach our students, and they can defend their own lives, and if heaven forbid all else fails, defend the lives of students. But if we have armed school resource officers, we do what Dan Patrick was discussing, making sure that we're watching access points and exit points. And that our perimeters are safe, double locking doors. This is a multi-layer thing, and not a lot of people realize that. That's what Patrick is discussing. That's what Greg Abbott is discussing. And I think that it's the least that we can do for our children and teachers.
Right. Thousands of schools in states that are healthy like Florida, they indeed acted. They're training these guardians right now with hundreds of hours, but the states that are hurting, they don't know where they're going to get their resources from. Maybe that's where the federal government steps in.
School Shield, they need to call us. We are more than happy to help, and our resources are at their disposal.
All right. Thank you, Dana. Great to see you this morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Let's hand it over to Jillian, who has some more headlines for us. Hey, Jillian.
That's right. Good morning. And we have some dramatic body cam footage capturing a gunfight at President Trump's Florida golf club. This all went down after a man with a gun walked into Trump Doral. He draped an American flag over the front desk, started yelling about the president, and pulled the fire alarm. Police eventually shooting him in the legs. During this bizarre exchange in court, he admitted to setting off the alarm.
I did push alarm.
You know, sir, everything's being recorded. Your attorney turned the microphone off, though. Probably a wise move.
Nobody was seriously hurt. Tip off illegals and you could go to prison even if you're mayor. That's the message Iowa Congressman Steve King is sending to all sanctuary cities under his proposed law. The Mayor Libby Schaaf Act, named for the California mayor who warned about an ICE raid in February.
There is potentially an ICE activity planned in the Bay Area. Residents should know that they do not have an obligation to open their doors if an ICE official knocks.
Under the measure, government officials could face up to 5 years in prison. From the White House to the movies, the Obamas signing a multi-year deal to produce films and series for Netflix. The deal includes scripted and unscripted series, as well as documentaries and features. Former President Obama saying they hope to, quote, promote greater empathy and understanding between peoples and help them share their stories with the entire world. The first content from the Obamas will appear in 2019. From battling blazes to dad duties, these